everyone. This is Susan for SLC Aquatics, welcoming you to the live stream today. And of course, I've been advertising, and so has he. Here is Mitch of Scruffy City Aquatics. Welcome, Mitch, to the live stream today, everybody. We're building an audience right now, Mitch, but it's dropping and building. So that's how the internet does. But welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Hi,
I'm
everyone.
I'm excited to have you with me today. I got to meet you in Knoxville at the Aquaticon fish convention, and I had a nice interview with two of the guys from the
Yeah.
club there that you all have, and I personally didn't get to chit chat with you, but I know we saw each other's faces and stuff like
Yeah.
that all the time.
Yeah.
But
I saw a few people walking around recording. And I was like, okay, there's a YouTuber. I need to check their stuff out. Taking notes.
yeah, that's how we tell on ourselves, isn't it? We've got cameras.
I've not gotten good at that yet. I went to Aquatic Marine the other day, and I got my phone out, flipped on the camera, and thought, I'm not ready for this yet. I'm not going to do this yet.
I still get nervous. I need better equipment. I think I told everyone on their interviews I need some interview microphones because the crowd was so loud. You couldn't hear every question and
It was.
answer. But it was
You know,
still my first convention, and I really had a good time.
oh, that's awesome. It was my first aquarium convention as well. I've never been to any of the other shows. And Aquatic Marine's my local fish store, the one that I go to the most. And I was very excited. When they first started talking about that show, Kenny mentioned it to me while I was in because he knew I was trying to start up a local fish club, and he mentioned it to me. And at that point, it was going to be a something in the parking lot with food vendors and people set up with tables. And
Wow.
I was like, yeah, I'd be excited to help out with that. And the next thing I know, he's renting out a convention center, so it grew pretty quick.
Wow. I know James of Fish Room Fever,
Hmm.
and I've been up to the Chattanooga area for a swap before, and
Yeah.
I met Ethan of Fishmania and Rob of Aquatic Aesthetics,
Okay.
and there was a couple other vendors. That one guy that was actually at the Aquaticon, I think he's from Nashville, but I never caught his name or anything. I've bought fish from him before. It was
Yeah.
a tall black gentleman, but
Yeah. He came and talked to us at our table for a little while. He had fish, and I think it was mostly fish. He had a lot of juveniles because he had pictures of them when they'd be full grown, which I
yes,
thought was a great idea because sometimes you just don't know what they're going to look like.
that's right. Lots of room for education, and I think he carries mostly cichlids, but I've
Yeah.
bought platies from him. And matter of
Okay.
fact, at that swap, I took fish. I always take fish bags. I don't know why I take fish bags. He needed fish bags because all he had was those big, large
Oh, he
volume
had.
bags. Yeah.
Yeah.
And when people were buying fish, he goes, "Oh no, I didn't bring my fish bags." I said,
Oh,
"Well,
no.
here's some." And he bought them from me, and I was just going to give them to him.
Yeah. He was, I can't remember his name either. He was very nice. I remember when he came by the table, and I kind of got into a rhythm of this spiel that I was giving people when they'd walk up. And he's like, yeah, I'm a member on Facebook. I'm hoping to make it to a meeting. I was like, well, that's awesome.
Isn't
So
that cool?
that's really cool. Yep.
Do you know Punchy Paints Pam from I think
I,
she's from Wyoming. Yeah.
I do know who she is. I've seen her on live stream. I
Well,
haven't met her personally.
she is taking care of chat for me today. I've made her a mod a long, long time ago, and she made the live stream. There are some people lurking, but no one's talking in the chat. I want to let everybody know that if you have questions for Mitch, you can put at Susan for SLC Aquatics in the chat, and it will highlight, and I can actually put it on the screen today, and you can ask any questions away. So before we quit reminiscing about Aquaticon, I'm going to start asking Mitch some questions. So, first of all, Mitch, how long have you been in the hobby?
That's a great question. So I've tried to think through this because it's been a number of years. It's somewhere between 8 and 9 years. And it's all based on my daughter's age, how I can remember, because, um, well, as a kid, my mom did have an aquarium for a little while, and I remember that aquarium. I remember laying in my beanbag and staring up at this aquarium, and it probably was like a 20 or a 25. It wasn't very big, but I know it was bigger than a 10. I don't remember much about what kind of fish were in that aquarium, except there were definitely neons. I remember the neon tetras. That's why I ended up getting some myself, just because I remembered them fondly. You know, the brilliant colors swimming around, a bunch of them, and it was just cool. At some point, she got rid of it. I'm pretty sure it was after a water change when she got a mouthful of water, and the tank was gone. But I always thought back fondly to that tank and watching it. So when we had kids, I used it as my opportunity to say, "Hey, I think we should have a fish tank in the house. The kids would really love it." So yeah, that was about 8 or 9 years ago. Of course, we went to PetSmart. I didn't know anything about local fish stores. The pet stores that I knew of in the area didn't carry fish, or at least didn't. None of the ones that I frequented, or not even frequented, the ones that I ended up in every now and then, didn't
Yeah.
have fish. And we went to PetSmart, uh, got a setup, 10-gallon setup, and I'm looking at gravel, and I'm like, "Ooh, I really like that. That maybe that darker gravel would be better." And the girls are like, I have two girls, and they were like two or three, 3 and 1. And my oldest is like, "Oh, look, it's the rainbow gravel," and I was like, "Yeah, that's cute." And I'm like, "What do you think, honey? Which one of these?" And she goes, "No, no, the kids want the rainbow gravel." So my first tank was a princess tank with a princess castle, and a lot of fake plants that look like they should have been in a saltwater tank. But that's where I started.
That's cool. That's so cool. Um, I'm letting Pam know she has a question for you. It's on the screen. She
Yeah.
says, "Where are you located?"
Yeah, so I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm an East Tennessean, and I still live in Knoxville. But like Aquatic Marine is my local store. I know a lot of people have suddenly heard about Aquatic Marine on YouTube. Well, not suddenly, because James has talked about Aquatic Marine, and Sean Tech has also been talking about the store for a while. But yeah, Knoxville. That's why I wear orange. We wear orange proudly around here. It's not a common color in other cities, but it's odd to walk around in our city and not see orange.
And that is because
The Tennessee Volunteers.
that's
The
right.
University of Tennessee is in our city, and the Volunteers are a big deal to us, even when they've had many, many years of rough seasons. I actually, growing up, I sold hot dogs at Neyland Stadium as a kid, walking up and down those steps, hollering hot dog, and having to do the change in my head. It was a lot of fun, though. I got to see games for free and make a little bit of cash.
That's cool. Pam saying, "Oh, you need to join the Tennessee Fish Mafia."
That's what I'm told. So Chattanooga Ed has said something about me being part of the mafia by default or something. I haven't, gone through an initiation of any kind, or, received any intel on what I'm supposed to do. But I have been informed of the mafia and been told that I am somewhat connected already.
I think he may already be an honorary member, but he hasn't got any badging yet. So a baseball cap and a T-shirt. I know Chattanooga Ed has the gear that he
Yeah.
usually sells, but I actually bought a T-shirt while I was there at Aquaticon, and they've had me as an honorary member for a while too.
Those hats were really awesome. I saw a number of those hats. I think he sold all of them except for the one he already had on his head. And I'm
Yes,
not sure if someone offered him money for it or not, but
he probably was offered money for it, but he wasn't surrendering it.
yeah, it's a nice hat. The shirts are nice too. I was so busy that day. Thankfully, we were there in a booth for the local fish club, and I barely got to walk around. And when I did, what was funny is when I did, I was being stopped by members of the club, and they were talking about what all they had seen. And I just enjoy that. I'm a people person, so I'd get caught up in a conversation. And next thing I knew, I was like, "Oh, I've got to get back to the booth because someone else is going to want to go walk around." So I didn't get a shirt, but I had wanted to. I'll have to catch him next time.
Well, I know he's having to order some more supplies, so there'll be another opportunity for you. But since you're talking about your booth at the convention, and you have organized a aquatic or aquarium club there in Eastern Tennessee. Would you like to discuss that now?
Yeah, I'd love to talk about that. So I'm one of 5 board members who actually who created the club. A while back, it was right before COVID. Uh, I started looking into starting an aquarium club because I would hear people online, Corey from Aquarium Co-op talk about getting connected with people locally. I was like, I want that. I want to get connected with people locally. So I started looking for a club and I couldn't find one. And then I went to Facebook and I created a Facebook group. And I thought, okay, I'm going to start here. I'll start meeting people. We'll talk about the hobby and then we'll grow from there. And then we'll start meeting in person. Then COVID happens and nobody's meeting in person.
Right.
Um, while that's going on, that's when I met James Fish Room Fever and Sean. I met James in person at Aquatic Marine. I met Sean online, and we talked about having a local club. And they both were very excited about the idea, and kind of gave me some ideas of some people to talk with and to work on it. And the more research I did, the more I realized I was not going to be able to do this. I didn't have the funding, and I didn't have the time to put into starting a club. So I kind of gave up on the idea for a while. And in one of the other local groups, Facebook groups, some guys started talking about how it was sad that we didn't have a club in the area and we really needed one. Maybe they were willing to put in the effort. And that got me, immediately I'm messaging, I'm sending them, I was like, hey, I started looking into this. It's a lot of work. I'd be willing to help you all however I can. And that was really the offer that I was making. I was like, I don't want to create a club, but I'm willing to help when you guys get it started. And so I got invited to one of the early calls because we were doing everything online at the beginning. And I get on this call, they're talking about everything, and I'm just like, I don't know that I should be here because I'm just volunteering to help out once you get started. And they're like, no, we're starting now. This is it. You're involved. And so yeah, it's funny at Aquaticon, the president of the club and I were talking while we were grabbing a bite to eat, and he was like, yeah, in the beginning you were kind of slow to get involved, and I could kind of tell you weren't really interested in jumping in, but now you're totally on board, and you're always coming up with ideas. And we were just talking about stuff, and I was like, yeah, I honestly wasn't willing to say I was going to put in that much effort because it's a lot of work, and it is. So yeah, we throughout the end of last year, we were planning the club, writing the bylaws, voting on it, talking it out. How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? What are we going to do when this happens? What do we want out of a club? What's the purpose of having a club? Just things like that. And so we did that throughout the year and put the first meeting out in January. So we're going to meet in January. We have an amazing location that is really kind of donated by one of the board members. He worked out a deal, cost him a little bit, but not the club. Worked out a deal so that we could meet at the Blunt Mansion downtown. So we're overlooking the Tennessee River where we meet. We're at a historic site in our city, and it's large enough. We've been able to fit. Our meetings are averaging about 30 people. We could really fit a few more than that, which is good because I feel our last meeting we had 33 people, and we had a number of people who weren't regulars who weren't there because of the Chattanooga swap. They had gone. We actually had 3 or 4 members who drove to the Chattanooga swap and then back in time for our meeting. So that was really cool to see people that invested.
Yes, that
But
really
it's been
works.
a lot of fun.
So they can go to Facebook, right?
Yes. So our club, we're currently operating off of Facebook and in the group. So you can see our group, we actually just hit over 800 members in the group. So that's amazing. We were at 797 last time I checked. So that happened today. And now we're at 802. So yeah, and most of the people, we have people from all over. We do have a large number of people who are local, and we're talking about our hobby and just talking about things in the hobby. We're starting to see more people ask questions. We're trying to make sure it's a friendly atmosphere for questions. We have a lot of people who are new to the hobby, and that's cool. And we want to help them out and not scare them off because, the internet can be a scary place in this hobby sometimes. And we're trying to keep it from becoming that. I think we've succeeded so far. We've seen some questions.
Um,
I
I
see
know
you
that.
have our next event
Yes, right
is our
here.
June meeting right there. It's featured. Our June meeting is on the 11th, and it is 4 p.m. local time. So Central Time, it shows 3 p.m. there, but it is 4 p.m. local time. And our meetings typically, they go about 2 hours. And when we first get together, it's just kind of everybody's just, saying hi and, a little bit of chat while we put together the door prize table. We've had people every month who have donated stuff, and we've been so blessed by just the generosity of the people in our club that so far every month everybody's walked out with at least one door prize and something else. So everyone who comes to the club meetings are walking out with things, whether it be, we've had shrimp, we've had fish, we feature species, and then some of them are usually in the door prizes as well. So you get to learn about the species, and then if you choose to, you can take one as a door prize, or it was a pair, I believe, on those. But anyway, the meeting starts off with just kind of going through the meeting stuff where we talk about what's going on within the club, and then we have a presentation. Our last presentation, Cassandra, who's a member of our club, has been since the very beginning. I did a presentation on live foods, and so she went through, I think it was 7 or 8 different live food cultures, and
Wow.
just kind of talked about how to keep them, how to how to keep them. That's what she went over. And then not only that, but she brought multiple cultures of those live foods, and people got to leave with the live foods that they learned about. I now have banana worms and grindle worms and daphnia that I'm culturing to feed my fish. So that's awesome. And then after the presentation, that's when we do the door prizes, and everybody gets a ticket when they walk in. You get to go pick something from the table. Once everyone's had a go at the table, if there's anything left, it's free for all. We just, everybody's going in with elbows and knees trying to get to the table. And then it's just chatting up and having a good time.
That's cool. There's a question for you from CJ Black. I think you got to meet her as well. Her and her husband David, is it David? Am I saying it right, CJ? They were volunteers at the convention. They were doing
Okay.
all the setups and running. They were running from booth to booth, taking care of
They were
anything you
busy.
had need of. But she wants to know, have you had any guest speakers at any of your meetings thus far?
Yes, we've had some amazing speakers. Like I said, Cassandra last month or this month, it's still May, is a member, and she was our guest speaker. Our very first meeting, we had Richard Y, who's a local photographer, and Richard does some photography for some of the local stores, and he did a presentation on how to get pictures of your tank, pictures of your inhabitants, and how to use what you have. So it wasn't just go buy this expensive camera. It was, here's the phone you have. Here's how you get good pictures with the phone. So that was our very first meeting. We've had Sean Peck from Peck Tech did a presentation on YouTube and the hobby. And then I'm going to forget some people, I'm sure, because we've been meeting since January. But we've had a good time with that, and we've had some great speakers.
That's wonderful. I think you were talking to me about Sean Peck when he did the aquascaping um,
Yeah.
at the Aquaticon. He was coming to do one at your meeting with another person
Yeah.
doing the plants in the hardscapes.
Yeah, that's going to be very cool. We're excited about that. I believe that is the July meeting.
Oh,
So Sean came to us right after, or at Aquaticon, right before Aquaticon, and said, "Hey, look, I was able to acquire this, and I'm going to do it at Aquaticon, but I want to do it again at the club." And we already had a friend of ours, Tanner, who's also a member of the club, Tanner Kesterson, who was going to do a talk on live plants, and we were like, well, what if we did an aquascape and then had someone put the plants in and talk about the plants? And so we kind of bounced that off of them, and they were both excited about it. So that's going to be a lot of fun. He is going to do his substrate and hardscape presentation, and then we'll follow it up with Tanner's presentation on live plants, and then he's going to be scaping that tank.
Yeah, Mitch, we also talked about live streaming your meetings and stuff. So CJ's asking, are the presentations filmed and can anyone out of town access those talks?
Yes, so they are filmed. We don't live stream them currently. That's something we've talked about doing, but we do film them. They typically go up the next week, and they are on our YouTube channel. So the East Tennessee Aquatic Association is on YouTube, and
Okay,
all of our meetings are there.
so I got to find that.
I should have given that to you before. That was such a great question. I should have thought of that. But yeah, so one of the board members, Jason McMahon, he does our marketing and our social media, and so he keeps up with our YouTube channel and makes sure that we get that up. We've also got a video from our first swap. We did our first ever fish swap in April, and it was a huge success. It was a lot larger than we thought it would be, being as how we had just started in January. So yeah, I didn't even talk about Kenny. Kenny from Aquatic Marine came and did a presentation on filtration. And it wasn't just like, what was really cool about it is it wasn't just filtration in your tank, it was filtration for your house and how that can impact your hobby. And so that was really great. I missed the first few meetings due to sicknesses during all the COVID stuff. So Sean was the first one that I was at. I got to do all the behind the scenes, and then when it came time for the meetings, I wasn't able to go due to either I was sick or someone in the house was sick.
Oh,
But
but
we got through it.
I'm going to put this link in the chat so people can go there. The link that I just put in chat is to the East Tennessee Aquarium Association YouTube channel. You can go back and watch any of the previous speaking and swaps, etc. So, all right, that'll take care of that. And don't forget to go over to the Facebook page and join the club there. Now, are there any fees for membership right now?
Yeah, that's another great question. So one of the things we wanted to do was to have an open club that is not dependent on fees. So in a lot of our discussions of planning the club, we spent a lot of time talking about how can we fund things without asking everyone to pay a fee. And then at the same time, if we were to pay a fee, what would, or if we were to ask everyone to pay a fee, what would that require of us? And we weren't willing to take the step into, you're going to pay me money, I'm going to give you something. We were like, no, we're going to make it free. That way the expectation is low in the beginning. And so, with this year, we've been, again, just so blessed with the generosity of our members. We are in the black. We've spent a lot of money on things. Like I said, our location where we meet has been donated to us. When we did our first fish swap, we had to rent out that building, and we've also booked it for the next one, which is October 8th. So we've booked that location twice, so we've had to pay for that. We've bought some merchandise, which has helped pay for things, and so that's how we're doing it. It's we always have a donation. It's a little goldfish aquarium that you should never use, a little bowl that we take, that we've given it a good purpose, and we take donations in that, and we've always got a few extra dollars in there, and that's great. And then the merchandise that we've been able to do, we've got some really great designs on our t-shirts, and we have some stickers, and we've been able to fund the club so far that way. I've had people ask me online, so what do I have to do to become a member? All you have to do is join the Facebook group. We consider you a member. Everything we do, it's available to you. You can come join us. You come hang out with us in Knoxville, or you can check it out online. And then at the fish swap, we did do a $2 entry fee, and that helped definitely with paying for the building. We got a good deal on the building. I was really impressed with the price, and it's a great location. It's in Fountain City, which is just north of Knoxville, and yeah, it was great.
That's wonderful. Of course, CJ was complimenting you on your booth at the Aquaticon. It was really nice. And another issue that I want to bring up, because I did interview the two guys at the Eastern Tennessee Aquatic Association
Yeah.
Club at the booth. I did, but I didn't have a good microphone. And I know that you all really magnify on education. So give us a little bit of your mission statement for this Eastern Tennessee Aquatic Association.
Okay. Yeah. So And that was JT. JT was the guy in the hat. He's also a board member. And then the other guy was Tanner, who I was talking about, who's going to be doing the presentation with Sean. That's Tanner Kesterson. Tanner actually lives in Nashville and comes over to the meetings. But he's really excited that we have a club. He's spent a lot of time in Knoxville. But as far as education, that's key for us. As far as the 5 on the board, we've all got various parts of the hobby that we're passionate about. And I think that makes us a really good board for planning things. Like for me personally, I really like helping people who are new to the hobby and people who are dealing with those first time complications and things that they're going through. And I want to see people succeed in the beginning so that they become lifelong aquarists. So that's one of the things that I'm really excited about, is helping people who are just coming in and are saying, hey, I just bought this tank and all of a sudden I've got this brown stuff everywhere, and be able to go, no, that's good. That means your tank's doing well. And so that's as far as education, that's one of the things I focus on. One of the board members, Curtis, he's really interested in breeding. Actually, a lot of the board members are interested in breeding fish. But he actually just announced our BAP program, which is a breeding program that we are officially starting. People were given information about it at the last meeting, and we'll be announcing the committee. It is our very first committee that's been put together in order to do that. So that's going to be another educational tool where we're going to be helping people, as they're learning how to breed their fish and to give them, the optimum the optimum habitat. I was joking with them. I was like, how many points am I going to get from all my bladder snails in this program? And they told me it was -1 point. So I wasn't thrilled about that, because I thought that I probably could have got my first award just on my snails, but it doesn't work that way. But yeah, I did actually have some Corys. I got about 60 Cory eggs yesterday. I was really excited.
Congratulations.
About that. Yeah.
What kind of Cory?
They're emerald greens.
Ooh.
They're very active. If you see Corys in this tank moving around, it's probably the emerald greens, because they are just always all over the place, and I love it.
They are in close relation to the salt and pepper Cory, aren't they?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm just starting. So I just got the emerald greens recently. Somebody in the club had them and was just wanting to get rid of them, I guess. And they knew I loved Corys, because I have some pallias, I have some salt and pepper, and I've been wanting to do a big school of stir-by. And so they knew that I was like, I don't know that I want emerald greens. They're not all that special looking. And I was like, but I like Corys, so I'll take them. And so I've only had them a few months, and so far they are just like palliatus. Everything's been the same as far as taking care of them.
How do you harvest your eggs?
Okay, so this was the first time I've tried to do it. But my salt and peppers are a little bit older, so I'm not seeing eggs from them anymore. I've had them for a long time. But with these emeralds, she didn't the eggs weren't like all in one place. They were pretty spread out on this side of the tank and on the side, and then also on my spray bar for my canister filter. And so I know a lot of people use like razor blades or cards, and I was like, you know what? I've got pretty delicate hands. I grew up an artist. I was like, I'm going to try my fingers to begin with. And so I worked it very slowly and gently. I pulled every egg. I didn't squash any. I would just say patience, definitely patience.
That's how I harvest mine.
Yeah, my biggest fear was dropping one, because I figured if I dropped it, it was gone. I'd never be able to find it.
But they stick right to you.
Yeah, they stuck pretty good. The biggest issue was this spray bar right here. They were all over it, and I was really afraid the current would pick them up as I would collect them. But I didn't have any issues. I have a small, like 1 gallon. I don't know. I got it at Walmart years ago to keep cherry shrimp in at one point.
Kind of like a critter cage.
Yeah, and it's kind of like it's kind of like a diamond shape. It looks like the Superman emblem from the top. And it had a under gravel filter with it, which I still have somewhere in the garage. But anyway, it's my container that I use. Anytime I'm collecting fish, I put them in that. And so I put all of the eggs in there, put an airline and a air stone. And then I use the peroxide method. I didn't have any methylene blue. I was not prepared. They just started spawning on me. I
Right.
guess it was all the live foods. And so I didn't have methylene blue, and I was like, it was too late by the time I found them. It was like 7 o'clock. All the stores were closed. So I found the peroxide method, and I've been doing that. I've done all 3 treatments with peroxide, and I stopped at one of the local stores. I was on the other end of town, so I stopped in an aquarium, also a fantastic store in my area. I stopped in there to get some almond leaves, but they said they can't get them. They've not been able to get them for a while.
Wow.
They actually told me that Fritz was no longer carrying them because they've become so difficult to get a hold of.
Okay.
So they gave me some of the cones. I don't remember exactly what they're called, but they're the tiny pine cones.
Yes.
And so I put one of those in there, and it is like looking at tea now. So they're just living their best life in there. I went around with a flashlight looking at them earlier today with actually one of the members from the club. I was like, all right, so what should I be looking for? Here's a video with my flashlight, and I had to change some of the water in order to be able to see through it. And they were like, oh yeah, you look good. You look good.
How
And
often are you changing the water?
so for the first day, I did the peroxide treatment was every 12 hours, and it was just like a little bit. In my container, I had 4 cups of water, so I was only doing 4 drops from a dropper of the peroxide, and I was swapping out 2 cups of water each time. So for the first, 3 water changes, I changed out half of it, and then did the peroxide. And so this morning was the last treatment, and when I did the water change, because I wasn't putting more peroxide in there, I went ahead and put 4 more cups of water in there. So there's 8 cups of water, and I'm thinking once a day, unless you tell me that you would recommend it more than once.
No, I change mine once a day.
Yeah.
What are you feeding them right now?
So they've not hatched yet. I literally just collected them
Oh,
yesterday evening.
okay. So they're
Yeah.
still
Well,
in eggs.
they're still in their eggs. And also, it's not very warm. It's about 72. So I anticipate I'm probably looking at 4 or 5 days before they hatch, if I'm
Mhm.
understanding correctly. So I'll be watching them closely, but I plan on doing a water change at least half every day. But it's a little container. I'm able to pour it out into a cup over a net just in case anything falls. Pretty easy process, hopefully.
Right. That's it, that's the easiest way. I usually transfer some of the original aquarium water over with the
That's what I've
eggs,
been using.
and even my water changes when I drained out with the airline hose.
Hmm.
I drain so that I don't catch any eggs in that,
Yeah.
and then I introduce with the same aquarium water and with the same hose.
Yeah.
So I don't cross contaminate anything, and they're going to go back into their original aquarium anyway once they get at least a half inch to 2 inches long, and so there won't be any adaptation problem.
Yeah, that's the one thing I have to figure out is what am I going to do with them once they do start to grow out. I'm a 1 tank household. I'm like a rarity in the hobby. They give me a hard time at the club. I think in the first meeting they said that one of the goals of the club was to get more tanks in my house. And but yeah, so I've got the 75. I do have a 10-gallon quarantine tank that I use. So I'll probably prepare it and use it as a grow out, but all the water will come from the 75 when I do that. And I have been changing the water from this tank. I actually had to fill it up this morning because I started a Daphnia culture yesterday, and I used water from this tank. So I pulled 5 gallons out of it and put it into a 5-gallon bucket in my backyard. And this morning I had to put water in it so that it had water when we came on the live stream.
Okay. Well, talk about your beautiful 75-gallon and your DIY CO2 and all that.
Okay. Yeah. So my first tank was the 10-gallon. Once the kids lost interest and the wife quit noticing, I swapped out the substrate, which crashed everything and created a lot of work for me, but I learned the hard way. So I did that. Things started to look a little more natural. And then I did try plants, and it was disastrous because I did not understand lighting and I did not understand feeding those things. I thought they would just grow. And so I ended up with a lot of algae and ended up having to throw everything out a couple of times
Yeah.
before I found the resources that I needed online. And that's actually when I became acquainted with Aquarium Co-op and a few of the other channels that really helped me in those early years. So that 10-gallon, after a while, I came across a good deal on a 25. And so it's a 25 tall, or maybe it's a 29 tall. I can't remember. It's a really tall tank,
29
not a
tall.
large. Yeah, not a large footprint
30,
though.
about 30 and a 3/4 inch width at the top.
It could be. I've not. It's in the garage. I actually still have it. I just don't have it set up for
You
some
need to
reason.
fill it up then, don't you?
I got to find a place to put it, but it's pretty square on the front, and then it's like a 10-gallon thick. It's not very thick, front to back. But yeah, so I had the 25, and that was when I cut my teeth on plants, and started realizing, about fertilizer and lighting and things like that. And then for my birthday, I really wanted a 75, and I was like, this is the only thing I want. This is like anniversary, my birthday anniversary, and everything falls together. I was like, this is just what I want. It'll be on sale in the month of May, because they always go on sale in May. So we got this 75 and set it up, and I moved everything over from the 25. I had like 103 tanks. I do have 3 tanks. There's my buddy John. I do have 3 tanks. I have 1 quarantine tank and 1 tank in the garage that doesn't have anything in it. But yeah, I had over 100 cherry shrimp go over. I had like 20 mollies. I had a lot of fish that went. Most everything in the center of this tank actually came from the 25. The Amazon swords came from there. The crypts came from there. The Nubius, I believe it's a Nubius Barteri over this shoulder, if I can get it right. I've had them for a number of years, and they've settled in this tank. I've documented here on an app that I use. I've documented the growth of the tank and watched it. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. The substrate is mixed. I have gravel and I have sand, and the sand was because I love the cories. And I know they don't have to have it for the barbels, but I enjoy watching them in the sand. So what I really mean is it's for me, but I feel like they enjoy it too. But we like to watch them dig around in the sand. So there's sand on one part of it, and then gravel on the rest. And I just use root tabs, a lot of root tabs, because I have too many swords and crypts. They really love the root tabs. As far as fish, we started off with live bears. So I had mollies. We had some platies in the beginning, but we really kind of clung to mollies. The girls loved the mollies, and so we've had them for a while. I'm trying to get out of mollies right now. I actually got rid of 80 of them recently. And
Wow.
yeah, but I've got more. And so, but yeah, you can see there's some still wrong shoulder, some Harlequin rasboras in there. There's still a few neons left over. I've not put any new neons, so any of them that you see back there are holdouts from back when we had a large school. And there's some cories, emerald green. What was that?
And you can't catch everything.
No, you can't. I did learn, and I'm actually going to do a video on this. I did learn a good technique from a member of our club. They said, why don't you just use a bottle? And so they showed me how to use a bottle to catch them. And that's like crazy. I've told 3 people about it since, and they've all messaged me afterwards like, that was the easiest collection I've ever had. So, it's really good. Take a bottle, cut off the top, flip it over, put some food in there, tie a rope to it so you don't have to, put your arm all the way down to the bottom of the tank, and just, let the fish go after the food, and then you can pull them out. It helps. In a planted tank, it's hard to get everything out, though.
It really is, because you don't want to tear up the tank.
Exactly. Now, I have tried to do stem plants several times. I do have some Pogostem and Stellatus octopus, and I'm pointing at the wrong side again. And then some Bacopa carolina and Pogostem erectus, and also some Brazilian moneywort or pennywort. I never can remember which one it is.
I think it's pennywort.
Okay. I've got some of them in here, but I removed all the Ludwigia and Rotala. I love them, but I just don't have a light strong enough for them in this tank. And so they just get real leggy and they don't look good. So I've pulled them out and I've planted some crypts back here. I've actually picked up from the Garden of Eden. They were at Aquaticon. I picked up a Cryptocorn spiralis. Yes. And so I'm hoping to get some height off of it and to be able to fill in that space with those.
Yeah, I've never had my spiralis grow real tall. It still wants to um, lay on towards the substrate. It doesn't get really tall. The
You got a
leaves are,
good light.
yeah, I need a good light.
No, I mean, you have one. That
Well,
if they lay down, it's because they're getting enough light. And that's why everything in my tank stretches to the top. They're like, please give me more light.
okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking. I had my thinking backwards.
And crypts, they don't like a lot of light anyway. I've been trying to shade mine out with the Amazon swords as much as possible. My crypts definitely get a lot fuller when they're not getting a lot of light, and that was just a hard balance. It was hard to balance the stem plants needing a lot of light and a lot of my other plants really rejecting it.
Yeah.
So I gave up, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it in the 75. I guess I'm going to need to get the 25 out at some point and get a good light on it. But I did. So I can say I have another tank in that I have a patio micro pond this year that I started. That's been very exciting.
How many gallons?
It's 20 gallons,
Okay.
so it's not very big.
So you need to start doing some video on it.
I filmed some stuff. I just haven't got the right thing to put out there yet. I've got lots of B-roll of it, and I'll probably do something on the building of it. But I actually put it together before I really started doing the YouTube, and I didn't chronicle it enough.
Yeah.
But I've got some footage. I'll be able to put something together with it. But it's a lot of fun. It's like I said, it's about 20 gallons. It's a planter that I picked up at Rural King for $10. It was on sale for $10. Already had a plug in it. I didn't have to plug it. And I just put some leftover gravel that I had in it. And I did get some terracotta pots and put some soil in them and cover that up. Yeah, wait, we're up to 4 tanks now. But I only have one. But it's been a lot of fun. And there's some endlers in there. First time I've kept endlers. Again, if you have a local club, the resources of a local club are amazing, because I had someone say, here, you need these to put in that pond. And they are gorgeous. They're just absolutely gorgeous. My kids get down on their knees and put their hands in the pond and just play in the water and, cup the fish and check them out. And I found ram's horn snails for the first time in there early on. And I was like, I've never had ram's horn snails. And all of a sudden they're in my pond. I thought it had come from a plant that I put in there that I've got specifically for the pond, and it wasn't, because 2 days later I found them in my 75. So
wow, eggs could have come in on anything.
yeah, well, and I found some eggs when I was collecting for the quarries. I found some on some of this. I have some wrong side. I have some dwarf chain swords over here, and there's some eggs on there.
Yeah, that's probably.
And I like snails. So I let them.
I do
I
too.
let them do their thing.
I
They
like
got me keep it clean.
until they overpopulate. I'm thinning them out now because I sold my yo-yo loaches, and so I have
Yeah.
nothing to feed the snails to. So I'm having to humanely get rid of them. I hate it.
Yeah.
But, I do have snails available if anybody needs some.
And I've had some people tell me, when you get tired of all those snails, definitely let me know and I'll take some of them. So
Okay. Well,
I know some people with puffers.
Okay. I'll share. Oh, Dee Dee's Finn is laughing with John, and he is in denial when he thinks one tank.
So I'm going to talk about John for a minute, Select Pet. When he found out we were starting a club, he reached out and he said, "Hey, I've been a member of multiple clubs." Yeah, that is one of, I think it's in the bylaws that it's one of our one of our purposes is to get multiple tanks in my house.
Oh wow.
But John reached out and he said, I've been involved in multiple clubs, and I've in various roles, and anything you guys need, any questions that you have. And we took him up on it. We were like, okay, can you get on a call with us in a couple of days? And so we just we let him sit in on a meeting and give us some ideas and some critiques on how we were doing things. And he's just a phenomenal guy. And he's been with us all the way through. So he's kind of like an honorary board member of the club, because we've definitely, I'm sure I alone have bounced enough things off of him. And then he also sends me random stuff too. And he's like, have you guys thought about this? But I'm sure with the other guys, he's done it as well. So he's been pretty busy and involved in the ETAA.
Yeah, we had fun at Aquaticon from John and him picking on you, letting you know that there was plenty of fish and plenty of tanks there for you.
Oh yeah, and you know it's tough sometimes. I honestly just don't have the furniture to put it on, and we don't have the largest house. Um, but I'm looking. I'm trying to come up with some ideas, and actually John messages me in the middle of the night sometimes with, "Don't you have a dresser? Surely you put a tank on the dresser."
And John's a super guy. I'm
Yes,
glad
he
I
is.
finally got to meet him. And is there I know we really don't have time unless somebody wants to tell me there's no one going, nobody's streaming after this hour. We can go a little long, but I haven't even been able to touch on your community involvement there in Tennessee. And you have told us how to reach you on Facebook, but
Mhm.
some of the YouTubers don't do Facebook. So besides your two YouTube channels, where else can people actually reach out and contact you?
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a great question. Instagram. I have been using Instagram as far as the hobby goes. I feel like Instagram is one of the best platforms because anytime I'm talking about anything, I want to share a picture. And I haven't been as involved in there lately, as involved on the social media lately, but it is my go-to. That's typically where I go. Um, Facebook is mainly for groups for me. We have a lot of local groups, buy sell trade groups, and then our community in the ETAA. I'm very involved there. That takes a lot of my time, just kind of being involved in all those conversations. But whenever I'm posting something that I feel like is fun to share, kind of creative, I typically go to Instagram. So you can find me there at Scruffy City Aquatics.
Okay, I'm going to search for it.
But I haven't utilized Twitter. I've used Twitter for a lot of other things, and Twitter is really one of those sites that I've kind of taken a break from it. And so I've not been on it as much, and I've not put Scruffy City over there at all. Um, and I don't have any plans to. I really enjoy Instagram with it. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really cool Instagram accounts out there.
Now, is this the top of the pond?
That is the top of the pond. Mm-hmm. That
Nice.
was recently because I have the terracotta planters in there.
Yep, 3 days ago.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else you wanted to share?
Yeah, there's my aquarium co-op mug.
Yep.
There's that ram's horn. That's the one that was in my aquarium.
Yep. I remember when you asked about it because I've never seen one with those spots on it before either. It's almost like a leopard ram's horn or something.
Yeah, it's cool looking. I have no idea where it came from. It had to have come from one of our club meetings. It had to have been. Actually, I do know where it came from. He told on himself. Uh, when I was talking about it, Tanner Kesterson was like, "I love my ram's horn snails." I was like, "That's where they came from." But like I said, I like them. So, we tell everybody. I made sure to put a disclaimer at our last meeting. I was like, if you take anything and it doesn't say snail free, expect snails because yeah, there's the one from outside. I pulled it out on that Bacopa.
Hmm. Yeah, that's the ones I have.
Yep.
Yeah, but I haven't
I don't
given
know if
you
they're the same or not. There's our shirt, the
Yeah.
ETAA shirt. We got a lot of compliments on those at Aquaticon.
Yes, that's a cool logo. It really is.
Yeah. Now that is JT. You spoke with JT. His
Yeah.
wife designed that, and I've only met her once. I believe her name is Stephanie. I've only met her once, so I cannot say for certain that it is Stephanie, but I think it is. She designed that for us, and it's one of our. We've got several logos that we're kind of playing with. We have our main logo that's more colorful. That was probably on our page. Oh, right there. Yeah, you can see it on our banner. That's
Yes,
the one we're typically using, but for the shirts, we wanted to do something that we could turn around really quick. And so she simplified our logo, and I think it's awesome. I
I
love it.
do too. It really is. So we know
We
where the
actually,
name ETAA came from, but where did Scruffy City Aquatics come from?
all right, yeah. So I was born in 1982 in Knoxville. And in Knoxville in 1982, during the summer, I was also born in the summer, was where the World's Fair was hosted by Knoxville, Tennessee. And the area, the World's Fair Park's still there. The Sun Sphere is well known from people who drive through the city. Like I-40 goes through this, like right next to the city. You can see the city, and the Sun Sphere is very prominent. It's actually been on The Simpsons and a few other shows, I think. So the Sun Sphere is known. I grew up going down to the park. I do attend comic conventions, and we have a great one in Knoxville, and it's downtown. And so I enjoy going to the World's Fair Park. It's just something that I've always kind of connected with. Now, in 81, leading up to the 82 World's Fair, um, people were questioning why Knoxville was selected. And the Wall Street Journal did an article where they were talking about it. And they were talking about what if nobody wants to go to Knoxville? What if nobody's interested in going to this city in the middle of the, of the United States? And they actually referred to Knoxville as a scruffy little city. And for a lot of people, that they might have taken that to have been an insult, but Knoxville really took to the name, and during that time, it became a thing. So, they were talking about Knoxville being a scruffy city, and then years later, there actually was a group, there was a group that kind of trademarked "Keep Knoxville Scruffy." And so, growing up, I remember seeing that, and just it's something that's always kind of resonated with me. So when I decided to create a channel, I had a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I had some people, some friends who were like, yeah, you should just go ahead and do it. Just go ahead and do it. And I was like, well, what would I call it? Because I don't want to just use my name. I don't, I'd actually, the ETAA was taken. I was going to call it the East Tennessee Aquarius. I thought about that, and I was like, oh, that's too close to what we're doing. And I was like, Scruffy City, I like that. So Scruffy City Aquatics. I feel like that represents me. And I thought, you know what? Maybe nobody watches it. Maybe nobody cares about what I do. That seems fitting.
Well, I love it, and it's very catchy. And I even mentioned it to a non-fish related person, and they said, "Oh, he's got to be scruffy looking." And I said, "Well, he does have a little scruffiness here under his chin."
I try. My wife hates when it gets too long, so she's like, no, it's about time to clean that up. But I have to keep. You mentioned it earlier. I have to keep it because people think I'm a lot younger than I am, so I have to have something on my face,
Yeah,
or
you have that baby
I get
face.
ID'd.
Do
I
you
had
still?
I had somebody at a McDonald's one time ask me if I was old enough to drive. I was like, listen, I'm twice your age.
I love it. Well, you'll always have a youthful face, and even when you get older, you will be able to fool everybody.
Yeah, yeah,
Select Pack again is saying that the folks at ETAA are a good example of not just saying, I wish there was a fish club here, but to do it and start the club. And can you maybe give a little advice on anyone who really wants to maybe start up a club, and how do you get people involved and actually start doing what their mouth is saying?
right. No, that's good. Again, when I first looked at doing it, it was just over. It was just crazy. It was too much work. And so the first thing I would say is find a group of like-minded people who are interested in starting a club. And when I say like-minded, I just mean people who are interested in the same type of club. Because one of the great things about our board is we're all very different, and we've got different things that we're interested in with the club. Um, so we all bring a different voice. And so whenever we talk about, we've got our voting rules within the board on how we handle things. And anytime we have a discussion and talk something out, we've got different opinions being said. So when I say like-minded, I don't mean everybody has to think the same way. I just mean you got to have the same purpose. We want a club. We want a club that helps the hobby. We want to support the hobby. We want to see the hobby grow. And that's everything that we do. That's kind of the underlying tenet of it. We want to see the hobby grow in our area. And so that would be number one. Secondly, just be willing to do stuff. And because there's always stuff that needs to be done. There's always some research that needs to be done. There's always someone to talk to, someone to ask if you can put your information in, in a location, just things like that. There's always live streams to go on. There's always, people to have conversations with in the comments. So things like that. It just find people who are willing to put in that effort. As far as how to find people, it's kind of cool in that once people find out something's happening, they start following it and start coming and then start getting involved. And it's been really cool over the last few months to see that happen and to see people who showed up at the first meeting and then didn't show up again for a few meetings. And then all of a sudden, we're just having conversations about our tanks and stuff, and, getting to know people and to learn about their hobby. So that's really cool. People come when they find out that it's happening, they come. We did have some hesitation from some people in the beginning. They were, hey, they've started up before and they didn't last, so I'm just going to kind of wait and see. And I absolutely understand that. If I had seen one start and stop a few times, I wouldn't jump in either. But at this point, I feel like we've started to prove ourselves and people are getting involved. And I think that it's just that consistency,
Right.
saying we're going to meet in January and then meeting in January, and then saying we're going to meet every month and meet every month, saying that you're going to be where you're going to be, doing things like that. I think that's big.
I wanted to say hi to Dr. Anthony, Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes. Have you met him yet?
I don't believe I have.
He's in Peru, or he will be going to Peru. He teaches uh, at a college in California, and he is part ownership, I do believe, of the Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes there in Peru. And they are getting ready to open up their aquarium education center, I believe, the 1st of July. So they've really been working
Very cool.
on education research, and they have a lot of programs available, volunteer programs, and internship type programs. If anyone is interested, you can contact him at Amazon Research Center for Ornamental Fishes. That's my little commercial for Dr. Anthony.
That
Love
was good. You're good at that.
it. Well,
Great job.
I generalize things. I could go more in depth, but today it's about Scruffy Aquatics and Scruffy City Aquatics and the ETAA club there in Eastern Tennessee Aquarium Association. So if anybody has any more questions for Mitch, I want you to feel free to ask them. And if you have anything else that you wanted to bring up, I want you to feel free to do so, Mitch.
Yeah, I wanted to first of all thank you for inviting me on. That's been one of the things when I considered, for anyone out there considering starting a YouTube. I didn't think I had anything to offer the community as far as content goes, and so I really just got started making my own video journal of what I have. Oh, we would love to have you. Yeah, let's get in contact and talk about it.
I'll share his email with you.
Yeah, we've actually got a local fishery that we're talking with about doing an outing soon. I don't want to give too many details because nothing's set. And like I said, when you say you're going to do it, you got to do it. But we are talking with someone about doing something local on local species, and that's something I've been very excited about. So we would love to talk about the Amazon and everything. That would be cool.
Yes.
But as far as the community's just been great. I started by doing some video journals of my tank. It was kind of to get help so people could see what I was going through, what I was dealing with at the time. It was to share some of my successes and for people to see where things went well. At one point with my 25-gallon, I did a peroxide dip to get rid of BBA, and I killed everything in it. I definitely wanted people to learn from that so that they didn't do the same thing, because I found it online. It was recommended to me as a good way to deal with things, and it was not a good way to deal with things.
I'm sorry, it's not funny when you kill everything.
Well, now I didn't kill any animals. all my plants. And I will say everything that died back. So what was funny, after I did it, the next day, the BBA started to, turn purple and brown and to bubble. And I was like, all right, it worked. The day after that, everything was just pristine. I was like, oh my, this is perfect. The day after that, wait a minute, that looks kind of mushy. And then the next day, everything was down to the substrate. And so everything did grow back from the roots, though. The Amazon sword that's in here, there's a few of them, but the main one, the mother plant, who actually has a spike right now with plants growing on it, the mother plant completely down to the roots. I didn't have anything left. I ended up cutting everything off. It just barely stuck above the substrate, but it grew back. My crypts melted. Actually, I didn't have crypts at that point. So it wasn't the crypts. Dwarf swords, dwarf chain swords, Sagittaria, everything. It was down to the roots, but it all came back.
Wow.
But yeah, things like that. I was just documenting things like that. And I thought, I don't really have, I don't know that I could be entertaining. And so, when I decided to do it, and I thought, I don't want to move in on anybody's territory or cause any I'm not competition, right? But I didn't want to do anything like that. I was like, I don't know that I want to deal with that. Who knows how people will react? How hard is it to get involved? And it's been just amazing. So when I decided to do it, the first thing that happened was, and I had met Chattanooga Ed before. He comes to when he comes to our meetings at the ETAA, and so I met him there. And as soon as he found out that I was doing YouTube, he's like, "Let me share it." And he was like, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be on several live streams this week. And I'm going to talk about you." And I was like, "Well, that's cool. Thank you. I'm going to try to be there for that. Let me know when you're going to do it." And so I ended up in a few different live streams, some that I'd never been a part of. A lot of them I lurked on, and I was there, but I just wasn't involved. I listen to a lot of them while I'm doing tank maintenance or something else. I like to carve, so sometimes I'm carving. But anyway, it was just phenomenal. And then like with you and offering, to do an interview on your live stream, just everyone's been so fantastic. Fish Room Fever, James is just a great individual who loves the hobby. And I met him for the first time at Aquatic Marine one day. I was just like, "Hey, you don't know me, but I lurk in your live streams and I appreciate you." And he was like, "Oh, that's good to hear. It's good to meet you." And so we talked for a little bit.
I think he talked about you one night.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he whenever he would notice that I was in there, he would point out that he met me.
Yeah, there's that guy that recognized me at a local pet store.
Yep, that was me. And then with Sean, I really enjoy Sean's artistic expression on YouTube, and so it was really cool for me to get to meet him and to be able to talk about YouTube with him. And he was one of the ones that was just like, "Just do it. You should just do it. You'll enjoy it." And he's like, he was excited that I was getting excited about it. So the community is really cool. So if you're thinking about just do it and just have fun with it. I have no idea what I'm going to do after my next 3 or 4 videos. I'm sure something will come to me.
It will, and the beginning of building the YouTube channel, a lot of people don't understand. You have to find yourself.
Yeah.
You're not really wanting to act, but you're wanting to find yourself. It took me a couple years to, well, of course the community named me Fish Fam Mom. So, they kept saying, "Well, wear your stupid apron, Susan, and let that be your call image and just do story time." I said, "Well, I don't do story time because I bore people and I fall asleep on myself." So it finding your niche, finding your forte. I'm not an educator. I'm not highly educated, but I don't mind sharing what I'm doing, the stupid mistakes that I've made. We all feel really bad when we kill something, that it was our negligence. And because if you don't care, you really maybe don't need to be in animal keeping hobby if you don't care. But you have to realize you can't care to the point where you want to just throw your hands up and quit. Sometimes you have to take a deep breath and step back and look at the big picture and say, "Okay, like you had your plants melt. I'm sure you felt like you were so devastated after all of that hard work, and it was all over trying to kill a little bit of fuzzy black stuff that looks really cool waving in the current.
Right. Yeah.
But anyway, you find your niche. And my first couple live streams, there was zero audience
Yeah.
because I didn't know about how to promote myself, and I didn't want to promote myself. It's like
Yeah.
when you've received your first super chat, you're like, I don't want to ask for money. But it sure does
Right.
feel good when you start seeing those dollars, pop up in chat, and the colors change from green to purple and orange. You're like, oh, wow, that is so cool. Well, they know they're going to put me in tears. I always cry. Uh, but anyway, Mitch, you're starting off mainly on a really good foot, but your perspective is important. Your mental health. A lot of us know that we're a bunch of misfits in this hobby anyway. We think we got it together, and we know we really don't have it together. But the good free advice that we share, the camaraderie that we share, the love that we share, and this community is a very giving community. And if we ever find out that you're in need, believe me, we're going to be on a bandwagon for you, whether you like it or not. So I'd love to see the Eastern Tennessee Aquarium Association. Am I saying it right? Aquatic
Aquatic. Yep.
is, I want to see it grow. I want to see it blossom, and I want to see it grow as big as you want it to grow. And sometimes when the right people are in the organization doing the right things, a lot of times growth can happen so fast that your head's spinning.
Yeah.
But for you all to be a young club, and you have to say you're a young club because you're under 5 years, and COVID took 2 years of those away. And so, what you've been doing since the beginning of 2022 is, I feel, just the beginning of some great things.
I
Yeah.
agree. I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
And I'm tickled at Dr. Anthony, because he says it's all about fish in capital letters.
Yeah.
But we expand outside of fish because in a true ecosystem, there's not just fish.
Right.
There's plants, there's things we can't see with the naked eye. There's environmental conditions that affect that ecosystem, and that's why education is important.
Yep.
And your group is really fighting hard to do researching, having excellent speakers. I'm going to have to watch the video where Kenny spoke on filtration, not only for your fish tanks but for your house, because I got to check that out.
It was a great talk. I wasn't there for it. I watched it online on our YouTube channel, but I was really excited about what he did and what he talked about because one, he didn't go in and try to sell a bunch of stuff because he didn't even present anything he sold. What he had with him was stuff he didn't sell, and he brought one and gave it away. So that just kind of tells you the heart of Kenny, and he's a great ambassador for the hobby in our area, and we're very thankful for all of his generosity. I don't think I said it earlier. He donated our table at Aquaticon because he wanted to support the ETAA, and so that's been great, and we're very thankful for that. But we kind of had to push him. It's funny watching the video because we were like, you need to talk about your store too. We want, like, your store is a great asset in our area. We love your store, and he was like, I don't want to self promote. This is not what I'm here. And we were like, yeah, but you've got something great to offer, and I feel like that's what we're trying to do as well. In that we're not that we have something great to offer, but that we are able to facilitate a place where people can offer great things. And I feel like that's what we're doing right now, and it's a lot of fun doing it.
It is. It is a lot of fun, and meeting people. And you're going to have a rotten egg here and there, and you just try to handle it the best you can and move on to the positive energy people.
Yeah.
And one thing about having a local club that made me nervous was, what do you do with these idiots who walk in who think they've got more rights and privileges than anybody else, or they feel like they have more knowledge than anybody else has?
Well, honestly, I've not come across that yet. I'm sure they'll come, right? At some point. I have experienced them in other hobbies and in other, it's definitely online. There's a lot of that
Yeah,
online.
yeah.
Um, so far, I can't think of any interaction that's been like that. And I will say we've anticipated it somewhat. Once things grow, we figured there'd be some, someone maybe with some ego that, but if I think things have been going well so far, and we'll
And
just deal with it when it happens.
knock on wood, and we pray for the blessings of the Lord,
Yeah.
because
Well, and you never know what they may actually have to offer. I mean, with a lot of people, a lot of times people have egos because they actually do know what they're talking about or they have something. So it's just finding a way to work off some of those rough edges and
yeah,
and get them excited about, not just being able to have all the information, but
but
be
to
able to experience the
share,
wins of sharing it. Yeah.
yeah, when and how to share it without coming over arrogantly and things.
It's
So
truth
we
and love, right? You got to
truth
have
and
both
love,
truth and love.
truth and love. We've got Stubbs Aquatics here, from Canada, and he has, to me, one of the most beautiful yards of koi ponds.
Ooh.
And just visit Stubbs Aquatics one day when you get a chance. He's
I
just
know I have.
Have you seen his videos?
Yeah. Mhm.
He has a koi pond over at his mother's as well. It's not too far away from him, but
Okay.
yeah, he and I've been talking for maybe over a year now, maybe 2 years, and he raises the shabumpkins
Yeah.
also, and he brings his breeders and stuff in during during the winter.
Yeah. A future project that I want to do that I've been working on for a while, as far as getting my wife ready for it, is I want to dig my own pond. I want to put a pond in. I'm sold um, on having a natural pond in the backyard, and that's kind of the patio micro pond is the first step of that. It's my 10-gallon tank to get that started. But yeah, I definitely watch a lot of videos on ponds and Stubbs Aquatics. Actually, I think they followed me, and that was the first time that I found out about their channel. But I've been watching videos since.
We have a question on the screen for you from Red Laser. You said that you're a Corridora fan. Is there a particular type of Cory you would like to get?
Okay, yeah. So it's kind of a boring answer, but yes, there is. When we got in the hobby, we had salt and pepper Corys in the beginning. I still have some. But my youngest daughter at PetSmart, they had stir-by Corridora, and she wanted one. And they were like, yeah, they'll school with your other Corys. So we got it. She's still in this tank. She doesn't school with the rest of the fish. She just kind of hangs out on her own. A lot of times at night, if I'm up late, I'll flip on the blue light and I'll catch her out, in the front. But otherwise, she stays towards the back. And so for that purpose, I've wanted a school of stir-by Corridora. And I know they're not like a very fancy fish, or there are definitely some very gorgeous Corys out there. But to me, for that reason, and also because my kids really like the one, and I'd like to see her enjoy the school. I have attempted to get some, and I've had poor experiences with them. I actually do have one more in the 75-gallon right now, but that was one of six, and I lost the other five, and I was extremely disappointed in that. I got to find somebody with some locally tank raised ones. I think. I think the ones that I've been able to get in from other places, just we've had a bad go at our water.
You want to meet Mitch? Hey, dear. This is my husband, Rod,
Hi,
also
Mitch.
known
Hi, Rod.
How's it
as
going?
Mr. SLC Aquatics.
Yes. How
It's
are you
going
doing?
well.
Good. I'm just coming in. Chuck was elated.
Okay.
Um,
We'll be finished in a few minutes.
Okay.
All right. See you in a little bit.
All right.
Okay.
Good to meet you.
It's good to meet you too. We've gone long. I'm surprised I haven't heard from my wife yet.
Okay. Anybody else have any other questions? I don't see any other questions. Pam
But
says hi, Rod.
she knows me well enough to know that once I get talking, I lose track of time. So
I count an honor to have you as my guest. And
What did you say?
Pam, Punchy
honored to be
Pam
here.
says hi.
Hi, Pam.
And sorry for the interruptions.
No,
Um,
no worries.
but everybody can reach Mitch at Instagram under Scruffy City Aquatics. Is that the one you wanted us to refer to?
Yep, that's it.
Okay, and there's two YouTube channels, and right now, John says you were really close to 100 on Scruffy City Aquatics,
Oh,
and
on YouTube?
yes,
Yeah, we were in the 80s.
and then let's see what we have 53 on the East Tennessee Aquatic Association,
Mhm.
and then on Instagram you have 110 following you.
I'm following 110. 59 following.
Follow 59 are
Followers.
following you, and
Yeah,
you're following 110. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
I've
So
I've found a lot of really cool accounts out there.
they are some really nice people and nice things. I have a variety of everything. But the is that picture on let me put it back up.
Okay.
Is this your aquarium?
No, now that is the ETAA's YouTube, and so that was a member's picture. Every month we do a membership photo contest.
Okay.
Jason puts it on. Jason's the one that runs our YouTube. Um, we do a photo contest where members submit a photo in the thread, and then people like it in order to vote it. And the most liked photo becomes our header. And I think that was our first month. I think that was the January one, which is really cool that it's still there because our Facebook page, if you look, it changes every month.
Okay.
But I think that was the first winner. And I don't remember whose tank that was.
Yeah, that's a pretty. What is that? Oh, green emerald pleco or something?
Yeah. Now that's and that picture was from Kane Fitzwallace. Kane is the president of the ETAA. I am
And
the secretary.
oh, you're the secretary.
I
And
take the
then
notes.
and we want to remind everyone of the next event that's coming up June the 11th at 3 p.m. Well, 4 p.m. Eastern,
Hmm.
and it'll be held at the Blunt Mansion. Blunt.
Blunt mentioned. Yeah. So it's a historic site in our area, and they have donated the space for us to use, and we've got a great little conference room that could probably seat another, I don't know, 15, 20 people over the 35 or so that we've seen.
Okay.
And overlooking the Tennessee River. It's a beautiful spot, right across from Calhoun's. I've been trying to talk everybody into going over to Calhoun's afterwards. It's a great barbecue place.
Oh, sounds good. Well, I regret that I have something booked that day, but I will stay posted on all of your events. And Matt was in the chat earlier, Liquid Zoo, who I
Yeah.
believe he's got you on the fishfam.link website. And
Oh, well, thank you.
and if he doesn't, he'll have you there soon. And upcoming events are there, upcoming live streams are there.
Okay.
I try to do a bi-monthly newsletter, it's a hashtag community, Fish Fam community newsletter, and it's sent out through emails. And so I don't have one for May and June done yet because there's not been any submission of any articles or any short stories or any video links. And so I like to support new channels, new clubs, new businesses. And I have a website known as slc-aquatics.org. And
Hmm.
there's a blog page section there. And at the bottom of the blog, you can sign up for the newsletter. And the website has a pop open email submission. You can do it either way, and you'll be on the mailing list if you would like to receive it, or
Okay.
if you would like to even submit something, Mitch. Um, I would be very honored, to have that. And you can send anything to slc-aquatics@gmail.com. And people have even created fish memes before, and I put that in the newsletter. And, I've created fish fam puzzles and crossword puzzles just to give you something to idle yourself away while you're doing water changes. So,
Yeah.
if there's anything that you would like to do, I welcome you to submit something. And if any of the viewers want to submit something for the upcoming newsletter, please do it quickly so that I can get one out before the end of the month. If not, it'll be a June and July submission. But again, Mitch, thank you so much for being with me today, being my special guest. I don't want it to be the last. I want this to be the beginning. And
Sounds good.
remind me to send you Dr. Anthony's email if he
Yes.
hasn't already sent you something. And thanks, everyone. Thanks, mods, for being so active in the chat. We had a latecomer, D.A. Black, just jumped in to say hi, Susan and Mitch. Well, hello and welcome. And have a great rest of your day, great weekend. And I'll be seeing you on Facebook and YouTube.
Thanks. We'll see everybody around.
Okay. Bye bye, everyone.